This is Plant-Based Briefing. Does dietary cholesterol, eggs, raise blood cholesterol? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. And I'm Marian Erickson, host of this curated content plant-based podcast, where I narrate a variety of articles on plant-based and vegan living with permission in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And today's article is from nutritionfacts.org. They're pretty much one of the go-to sites for nutrition information because what they do is summarize all of the latest peer-reviewed nutrition and health research that's written in English with no conflicts of interest. There are no ads on their site, there are no corporate sponsorships, they're a nonprofit. They were founded by Dr. Michael Greger, a physician, a New York Times bestselling author, an internationally recognized speaker on nutrition, food safety, and public health issues. And Dr. Greger takes a salary, and there are some salaried employees and a lot of volunteers that work for Nutrition Facts, but 100% of all proceeds he's ever received from his books, DVDs, and speaking engagements have always and will always be donated to charity. So he's not trying to sell you anything. He's not selling you supplements or selling books with a bunch of questionable information. They're just gathering and presenting the facts. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Does dietary cholesterol, eggs, raise blood cholesterol? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. Summary: even 9 out of 10 studies funded by the egg industry show that eggs raise cholesterol. The question, does egg feeding, in other words dietary cholesterol, affect the level of cholesterol in the blood, was answered 40 years ago. Give someone half a cup of eggs a day, and within 2, 3, 4 weeks, their cholesterol keeps going up. And then stop the eggs by switching to an egg substitute, and the cholesterol comes down. Or start the people on the egg substitute and not much happens, but then start feeding eggs and their cholesterol shoots right up. Put people on a cholesterol-free diet and their cholesterol drops. Then add some egg yolk cholesterol and their cholesterol goes up. Take it away and the cholesterol goes down. You could do this all year. And it's within days. After 10 days of eggs and cholesterol shot up 50 points, take the eggs away and it comes back down. You can reproduce this effect over and over and over and over, though evidently penguin omelets are only about half as deadly. Switch people from a high cholesterol diet to a cholesterol-free diet and you can drop blood cholesterol levels as much as 100 points. Okay, but that was giving people more than a half cup of egg yolks a day. But even just a single egg a day can increase people's LDL cholesterol 12%. Put all such studies together in this 2020 meta-analysis, more than 50 randomized controlled trials feeding people eggs, and egg consumption significantly increases LDL cholesterol, period. Now, studies funded by the American Egg Board use a variety of methods to try to minimize the reported negative health effects of eggs by, for example, claiming that dietary cholesterol affects only certain people. That's actually been put to the test, and only 3% were even potentially non-responders to dietary cholesterol, and even these probably evidenced some adverse response. Wait, then how was the American Egg Board able to design a study in which egg intake did not change blood cholesterol? By feeding them sufficiently large quantities of dairy and meat. See, there's a plateau effect. Though all lines of evidence converge to indicate that dietary cholesterol is a major factor in promoting hardening of the arteries, confusion about dietary cholesterol has arisen because above a certain ceiling, you basically max out cholesterol absorption. Check it out. If you're eating a strictly plant-based diet with a baseline of 0 cholesterol intake, and you start adding meat, dairy, or eggs to your diet, you can get a dramatic rise in blood cholesterol. But as your diet starts out more and more meaty, you can saturate your system and basically max out on the additional effect. So no wonder the American Egg Board packed in the extra meat and dairy to mask the egg effect. A systematic review of egg industry funding and cholesterol research sought out to see if the industry-funded studies were more likely to report conclusions that were not supported by their own objective findings. Of the non-industry funded studies on the effect of egg ingestion on cholesterol, cholesterol increases were reported in about 90%. Among industry-funded studies, cholesterol increases were reported in about 90%. In other words, even the egg industry-funded studies showed eggs increased blood cholesterol, and not a single study funded by anyone showed a significant decrease. Okay, but here's the crazy part. About half of the industry-funded studies reported conclusions that were discordant with their own results. In other words, they found that cholesterol went up, but if you read their conclusions, they exonerated eggs. That's why you can't just read the abstract. You actually have to see what they found. Readers, editors, and the public should remain alert to funding sources in interpreting study findings and conclusions. You just listened to Does Dietary Cholesterol, Eggs, Raise Blood Cholesterol? By Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org. And I'm Marian Erickson, your host. And Nutrition Facts has a number of articles, and I've read several of them on the podcast, about how the industry-funded tests can be very misleading, obviously. And I've got a couple of them I would recommend. I'll put links in the show notes, but they're episode 303, How Foods Are Tested for Depression, 302, How the Dairy Industry Designs Misleading Studies, 247, How Eggs Can Impact Body Odor, 246, Peeks Behind the Egg Industry Curtain, and 92, No Purveyor of Unhealthy Products Wants the Public to Know the Truth. So feel free to check out those episodes, and please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.